Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's good. This is Fabrizia and Anne.
Hello, good afternoon.
And we'll just wait a couple of minutes to see who's gonna connect to our video call. Hey, Moira. Hello, Moira. She's a client of mine.
Hey, Moira.
Yeah, we are gonna talk about how to use storytelling techniques in order to be successful as a candidate for a remote job interview. I will hi, Moira. I would just like to tell you already that whoever has missed, friends that are missing this, you can rewatch it whenever you want. You can send it via link to whoever you want, because it's gonna stay on Facebook forever.
Forever.
Yeah, which is kind of scary.
It is.
Yeah, good old times where things were not recorded and we were just safe to say whatever we wanted. I had already a horrible experience, I'll tell you. Anyways, I see 5 people. So how are we gonna structure this webinar today? Basically, we will just introduce briefly, and then we will move to the core of this webinar, where she will show us all the magics to become a great storyteller. And then at the end of the webinar, we will leave about 15 minutes for any question that you guys have, and we will try to answer as well as possible. So just drop your questions in the comments, and we'll go through that. Feel free to, whenever you want, if you have any questions comes as we are talking.
We can see the comments, so
exactly.
We can address them
as
we go.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be quite a casual conversation.
Exactly. We didn't prepare much.
Yes, we did.
Well, a little bit, but I mean, we just said 15 minutes ago. We'll go with the flow. All right, cool. Let's. Who don't know me? My name is Fabrizia Zanca, and I am a remote career coach and a remote work advocate. I help people to go remote, basically, and switching from a corporate job to a remote career. And I do it through different service, mentorship, online courses, and customized services as well. And I'm here today with Anne. She is a communication communication coach, and just continue explaining in details what you do.
I shall. So hello everyone, and welcome to today's chat. Let's call it that. So I'm Anne, and I'm a professional expert in communication, and I'm really passionate about assertive communication, public speaking, and really how you tell your story in public. And mostly, I think the importance why we're talking about storytelling is how to connect with your audience, create curiosity, and most of all, really just how to deliver. In public speaking, it can be a job interview, it can be a meeting, it can be actually today we're speaking in public, even though it doesn't feel like it. And also it can be a presentation on stage. So I work with any kind of issues related to the fear of speaking in public, and moving on from the fear is also how to address your message and deliver your message with confidence.
Yes.
So yes, hashtag confidence is probably the essence of my work, so to say. And I mostly work with people whose native language is not English.
Oh, that's great.
It's a double whammy, like the fear of speaking in public and in English. It can be really scary. I'm native Finnish, so I'm originally from Finland, and I have learned Spanish and English at the age of 4 and 5.
Wow. And but basically you're native.
But I have my struggles. You might, I don't know, what's your native language?
Italian.
Okay, do you have, like, the table is feminine and... because we don't. For us in Finnish, there's just the table and a chair, so I still struggle with el mesa, la mesa. Well, no, that's an easy one, but el mapa, la mapa. So we all have our struggles with related to language. And so basically, that's me in a nutshell. And I work also here in Barcelona with one-to-one sessions, and I'm also moving my work online
Yes.
with events such as these webinars. And I'm also
Yes, exactly.
Yay.
Actually, we met in an event here in Barcelona. Again, the keep saying it to everybody that seriously get out of your house or virtually connect with people, and you will see the world of opportunities that there are. We met like that, and now we're finding out that we have so many things in common. Like, yeah, we'll go through that later.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really great, and you never know, who this connection, how this connection can help you with clients, with finding a job, learning new things in this case, and so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for your introduction.
Thank you.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing, and together with me.
Yeah, it's not chatting to that screen.
Exactly. The other time I did another one that I couldn't even see the person actually because of my mistake. And another live, it was virtual again, so it's nice to have somebody.
Yeah,
it's less strange.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's actually worth mentioning that we have actually we've come to an office space. In case we have actually rented an office space.
Yeah.
So that we had enough space for the two of us. We're in an environment where we have this wonderful background and the remote control. But most importantly is that we have an adequate background and a silent space to hold this webinar, which I would recommend for you if you're in a job interview.
Yeah.
Don't be at home if there are kids or dogs or neighbors or any parties. Make sure that you're in a space where it's nice and quiet so you can focus on the job interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my recommendation for sure, and that's what we did today. So this is where we are.
Yes.
By hours.
Yes. We will have a
Oh, for sure.
All right,
let's begin.
Let's begin because people are here to know about our beers. That's lovely. Obviously, let's start with the basics, and if you can tell us a little bit what is storytelling and why it's important.
Yeah, so a little bit like I mentioned before, the art of creating curiosity. I think without going into further details, storytelling really is just telling your story. And in a way that creates curiosity. We'll talk about a few tips on how you can create curiosity, and also connecting with people on an emotional level. We talk a lot about emotional intelligence, and storytelling is one way how you can connect with people on an emotional level. I mean, most of all, if you talk about CV, I'm old school. I think I'm old school, like CV, curriculum vitae, whatever you want to call it. It's black and white, static, professional, boring. My name is Anne. I'm a public speaking coach. And nowadays with technology, there's a million ways you can bring your profile.
Yeah.
And storytelling is one of the ways of bringing it to life. Best works in a job interview is obviously through video.
Yeah.
Storytelling can be hard for the CV, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, and I mean, what you're saying is absolutely right. Guys, it is so important for them to see that you are a fit with the company and with their values, that already at an early stage when you build your resume, try to be creative, please. When I work with my clients and they see the new resume that I've created for them, I can show you, they're like, isn't that too much? But it is important to put some color. I mean, really anymore. Show that you are not a robot already from the stage. Add a small section about what you like and not just this, hobbies. Basketball, watching movies, no, go a little bit deeper with it.
Like there, I would say if someone says to you, like, I like basketball, I would ask you, if I were coaching you for a job interview, I would ask you, tell me about basketball. Exactly. What is it about basketball? Is it watching basketball, playing basketball?
Yeah, exactly. And if you watch it, why do you like it? And if you play it, why do you like it?
Exactly. And what makes you different? Like, what is it about basketball that you take with you, the learnings of, like, how does it make you feel?
Exactly. And Also, the risk of working remotely is to feel the isolation. So for companies, it's important to know that you have hobbies and things you like, and they will ask you about that. Otherwise, they will think, okay, this person doesn't have a life. So
yeah,
the interaction, and they're just gonna work all day, burn out, and disappear because So yeah.
I think it's really important to mention that it doesn't mean that you have to have like the most extreme and awesome and the coolest hobbies in town. If you are like, let's say something like, I love reading. That's not necessarily considered a exotic, extreme hobby. But if you say reading, tell me, what kind of books are you interested in? Tell me, what is it that what do you do? How does reading make you feel? When do you read? So for example, I read in the evenings, in the mornings, in the weekends. I go to the beach and read my book. Tell me more. Do you go to book clubs? So really get into the detail of like, who am I?
Yeah.
Asking that terrifying question, like, who am I? I will invite you to ask yourself, okay, Fabri, I'll ask you. And I will ask you, like, really, who am I?
Yeah. Besides the work, right? Besides being a consultant, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very legitimate question because people not only
hard.
Oh yeah, super hard. But we tend to focus on our job. I think this is really true, especially for Americans. If there's any US person there, raise your hand virtually and let us know. But yeah, I studied psychology, and identity is defined by so many things, and it's always very risky when you identify only with one. But well, coming back to my question, I would say I'm a mother, although it's already big. Yeah, I am somebody that loves sport.
Yeah, there I would be more specific.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like for example, you could say for the part of I am, if you're curious there at home and you're stuck, you can use, for example, adjectives. How would you describe yourself through adjectives?
Yes, like I am sporty.
Yeah, or I'm passionate. For example, I did this exercise last week. We were playing around with a couple of trainers, and I had to ask myself, like, close my eyes and ask myself, who am I? And the first thing that came to my mind is, I'm a public speaking coach and I help professionals.
Exactly.
And the colleague said, no, that is the static elevator pitch. Like, tap in with your emotions. And then I was like, actually, I'm a curious person. And I'm passionate about discovering new ways of communicating and really telling your story. And that's what came out after you take off the layers of I am is what's underneath. But then you have the fascinating part of I have. That your job titles, your university degrees, your certificates. That's the have. So I am, I have, and the last one is I do. So if I ask you, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what do I do?
Yeah. I put you on the spotlight here. Join in at home with these questions.
I do, well, I am involved with spirituality lately. It's something I do.
Okay, so what kind of tasks do you do? What kind of, so I'm looking for verbs.
Oh, verbs.
Yeah.
I am discovering.
Yay, there we go. Yeah, can you be more specific? Are you discovering face to face? Are you going to perhaps some events?
Yeah, okay. Well, I am discovering spirituality through yoga. And I am attending classes.
That's what you do.
Hard, guys. Oh my god. No, I get it.
Because it's really easy to talk about superficial, your tasks and your work and your experience, but take those like core layers off. Like imagine you're making a bread and you take off the hard part and you really go inside. It's like, who am I?
Yeah.
So I invite you to ask these 3 questions. You can use adjectives. What do I have is your titles, experiences, and also your certificates. And then what I do is through verbs.
Okay.
So this is just like 3 angles that you can approach how to. This is not for the job interview. This is for the preparation phase of connecting with what you mentioned, the values.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually also see the power of, preparing yourself for an interview, even for obvious questions like, why did you leave your past job to get to the current one. And if you think about those things that we have just discussed, for sure you can create a more engaging answer and a more, an answer that can really provide values, as we were saying. So yeah.
Because if I were in an interviewing position, I can see that there are changes. I've seen that you've changed jobs. I would be curious to know, like, what kind of attitude did you change the jobs with? What happened between the end of the previous and the beginning of the new?
Yeah. Exactly.
What did you learn from this experience in this company?
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
Super important.
Yeah, I think along the lines, and also I think it's worth mentioning, we were chatting before we started this about values. If you are in your path of personal development, it's very likely that you've worked your values. It doesn't matter if you have or haven't. If you haven't, I really do encourage you to start working on them. If you have any questions, send us emails. We have nice activities to work around your values as a first step. And in a job interview, if you don't know who you are, how are you going to know what you want?
Oh my God, this comes before that.
Wow.
Oh my God, that becomes before even applying to an interview. That's what I say all the time. Think about what your values, think about what you like, think about what you're passionate about. Because when you will make this switch, this is true for any kind of job, but especially when you work remotely, I mean, you want to join an organization that you like and you share the same values. And that's something I mentioned to you before. I keep mentioning it. I think people will write it in my grave. But being hired for a remote company, it's like a marriage. So if you don't share the same values, the marriage is not going to last long, right?
Yeah.
So it's important, really, really important to think about it even before applying.
Yeah.
And even more important when you do apply and then you're finally getting to the interview phase.
Like, just to give you an example, if there's anyone out there online who's wondering, like, okay, these girls are talking about values and I have no idea what values, I've never even tapped into this work. Values, this is actually debatable. I've seen values in forms of nouns, but I've recently seen that you can also work your values through verbs. So to give you an example of one of maybe the most common values, we talk about honesty. So you can say, I really value honesty, but then you have two sides of the story. You have the honesty of the internal story that you're telling yourself. I'm worthy. Yeah, okay. That this is what I want to do. This is what I don't want to do. When I said yes, I meant yes. When I said no, I meant no. So you're being honest with yourself. And then there's external honesty. So there's several aspects of working the values, and it's actually a long evolution working your values. So if you start it today, the process will continue for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So also evolve. So that's a little bit of in between, just brackets to, how would I say, introduce values for anyone there who hasn't worked with them.
I hope that's all clear. If you have questions, just write them down and then we will go through all the questions at the end. All right, so we know a little bit more about storytelling. What are the most important elements, let's say the 3 elements, that we need to introduce when we are interviewed by a remote company?
Okay, so basically going back from the work that you do before even let's say applying for the job, if you think about a story, we talk about several things like timeline. And depending how you set up your CV, it can be in form of skills, it can also be chronological. So that depends, but stories are events in your lifeline. Like CV is curriculum vitae, it's your life. So we talk about events that happen in your life, and it's not only professional. So it's actually, yes, you are the person giving the service. So I used to have it really divided, like personal and professional. Now I realize that these two are actually merging. Professional, same person, it's me. Maybe I don't swear at work, but
well, depends on the situation, I guess.
But I think my three elements that I would take away or like for the preparation would be creating curiosity through your story. How can you create curiosity?
Write down.
Yes, write down. One of the simplest ways is using numbers. And by this, I don't mean I have been a communication coach for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes. So I can say, for example, that if I were to, the way I introduce myself would be that, hello, my name is Anne, and I'm from the land of the 1,000 lakes. I'm from Finland.
Cool.
So that's just a way of introducing numbers to create curiosity. Because I can see that you've been working in your position for 5 years. Tell me something. Give me something juicy. Yeah. So one way of creating curiosity is through numbers. Then you have another way, which is, storytelling in itself is a technique, but sometimes it's not that easy to apply into different situations. And by this, I don't mean you need to be a professional Pixar storyteller. Don't think that you need to be that
Steve Jobs.
No. You need to be the storyteller of your life. And that's why we are all individual storytellers. So you, better than anyone, is going to tell your life story. Second, we can also talk about like events in your life. So if I ask you, Fabri, for example, your lifeline, could you give me an event in your life?
You mean professionally or personal?
Let's try. Let's try. This is exactly what we were saying.
Yeah.
Let's try the personal.
Okay, let's try the personal. I think a very impactful event that I had in my life was going to Erasmus.
Okay.
In Sweden, by the way. I was very close to it, sorry.
You didn't hear?
No.
Cool, okay, so you went to Erasmus. So here I would ask you, yes, I can see in your CV that you've been to Sweden from date X to date X, and I can see what you studied.
All right.
Now, give me something juicy. Give me something juicy. As in, for example, an anecdote that happened in Sweden.
Right, okay.
I mean, add a bit of humor. Another way.
I don't know if I should try to keep, it's Erasmus, so it's not professional at all, guys. I drank a lot.
Let's try, and the audience can say if you're emotionally, and then we can compare if they preferred your story about Erasmus or the professional side.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that when I went to Erasmus, I had a beautiful experience in Lapland, in Kiruna.
You got me.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, it was beautiful. And I remember I went out at night to see the aurora, the northern lights.
Yes.
And
can you really can you use adjectives to describe me? Help me get to that place. Right. I haven't been to Lapland.
All right. So you have to think that you are in the middle of nature and you don't hear any kind of sound.
Yeah, where is Lapland? Just in
case I don't know. An area that involves Finland, Sweden, and oh my God, I feel geography class.
Just
in the
northern part of Europe, above the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
How cold does it get in Lapland?
Wow, I was there and it was less 27 degrees. Exactly. The number.
Tell me that you're above the Arctic Circle. Yeah. It's the in the winter it gets to degrees of -27. Oh, I can already feel this.
The cold,
yeah, that's you telling me the story.
Right.
And what happened in Lapland?
Well, you really feel connected with nature. You feel part of, you feel, I don't know, bigger than yourself. You feel connected to Earth, and it was so beautiful to see the sky with all these amazing stars, and it's like, wow, I've never seen a sky like that before. So full of light. So
I'm here like goosebumps thinking. I think many people would like to see the northern lights.
Oh my God, guys, I need to improve my storytelling techniques.
But you see what I'm getting at here is like we've gone from your Erasmus, and it's like, oh man, okay, so not only you went to Sweden, but you also went to Lapland to see the northern lights. Yeah. What does that tell me about you as a person?
Well, somebody that likes to travel, to try new things, to experiment, to discover, I guess.
I would extract from here that you're a brave girl, that you've gone, you left home to go to an Erasmus. Also the fact that you're curious, that you wanted to go to such a curious place as Sweden to see the northern lights.
While everybody was going to Spain.
Exactly.
Like, why the hell do you go to Sweden?
Exactly. Then I could ask you, for example, to describe something that, how did you bond in with the Swedish people? That's telling me about your personality. How do you adapt? Yeah. Wow, going from, where did you leave from when you went
from Italy?
So you've gone from Italy to Sweden. Wow, that tells me much more than any of the academic stuff you've done. Yeah. Which I don't really care about.
Exactly.
I want to know who is the, if I take away the who is the I am there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting like somebody curious, the like adventurous, and I'm saying, and how was your experience in Sweden? Was it positive?
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't want to leave.
So I'm getting here like, okay, I'm from this story that you're telling me, I can also extract like in between the lines that you're for example, did you
not really. But I was there to learn English because Swedish people are like,
well, in that, not only did you go there, but you also went to learn a language. That gives me that, hey, that's storytelling. I can extract information about you without you telling.
Exactly. Yeah, and using the board, way that we are all used to.
I find it really funny when, if I look at my own CV going back 10 years, I can see like in the first paragraph in the executive summary, this was before like LinkedIn, like hardworking, proactive team player. It kills me all the time. I'm like, that's like part of this furniture. It's like, who is not working? Who isn't proactive? So it's through a story that I can extract information about you as the person that you are.
Yeah, I think this is really great. And guys, I think you should go through your resume. I will do that too, because I know that I'm not a great communicator. Maybe I should have some classes.
We can have more webinars.
But really think about your resume, think about, all your changes, think about the things you've been doing in there, and try to use these techniques and these ways of telling your story in order to, tell more than, a normal conversation would bring
for
you.
Sure. Did the personal?
Yeah.
Let's go to the professional. Let's see what the audience think about which story they prefer.
Yeah.
So can you tell me an event in your life that you would say that is, a story that you would tell around the campfire?
All right. Work related?
Yeah.
Well, that would be when I was laid off. From my remote company that I love to be in so much.
Okay. Just in case anyone is not sure what laid off means, it means when the company says bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it you and more people? Or
20 people.
Okay, so you were part of a...
Yeah. It was not because I sucked, but it felt that way. It was like, me? Really? Why?
I was hired. I was fired. It felt actually terrible. But thank you to that, I wouldn't be where I am today. You're talking to you. If I were to say like events that I have most learned from, like I would definitely put on like top 3 would be the events such as moving to Australia. In my case, but top 3 list around stories around the fire would be the day I got fired.
Yeah,
that was by far the biggest changes in my life happened emotionally, physically, and also professionally, personally. Everything changed after that day. So tell me about
it. Was a blessing at the end, no?
Oh, it was.
You don't realize it in that moment, but after you digest it, it was such a... Well, I think for us it was a blessing. I don't know if anybody here was laid off or fired. It would be great to know your experience with that too.
Yeah, and I would also invite you to ask yourself, instead of saying, oh, I suck, they fired me, I'm not worth it, to ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? What's gone in the past is gone, you can't change it, but what's in your control is what your attitude towards the change. This is a really good question. If you're in between jobs, when you've been fired, when you don't have a job, after your studies, you've maybe finished a certificate or a postgrad, and you're in between, how do you introduce yourself? What stories do you say? I'm looking for new challenges. I'm in a transition to move towards my passion.
Yeah. Oh, and that is great. I mean, I feel that those kind of answers sometimes are not really appreciated by normal companies, but
I love it. Normal.
Companies, for them is really important.
Yeah.
And you know, they do appreciate if you are going through a transition, especially if you're investing anything you have, even money. You know, I hear a lot of people that are like, you know, take a break and go to a boot camp and learn coding. I mean, once you've got the experience enough to get a job, it's not good to say, you know, I decided to change my career and I needed some time for that.
And what does that tell me if I can see that you have left a job and you have gone out to get more education or training? That tells me that you're an assertive person, that you're not willing, you're willing to say yes and no, make decisions that are for your benefit.
Brave.
Not only have you gone then to educate yourself more, which means you're in growth, you're in development, which tells me that you have kind of attitude that, hey, I want change and I'm willing to promote it and go for the better.
Yeah, exactly. All these things.
But again, I come from a generation, well, I think we might be in between, where if you have like 10 jobs, well, I'm probably pushing on to like 15, 20 jobs since I started, it can be seen as like, oh, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
Because she has so many jobs. Whereas nowadays, you know, changing jobs every 2 or 3 years, like,
normal.
Keep cruising.
It's actually very strange if you have been in a company for a long time and nothing happened, and it's like, you are not a good worker.
Yeah,
there's something wrong.
Yeah, so going back to that, so we kind of deviated here, but just to say the creating curiosity through numbers and then through storytelling between the professional and the personal. So audience, if you're listening there, did you prefer Fabri's story of the personal or the professional? Personal or professional? Right in the comments. Which got you better? Well, we can continue.
Yeah.
But basically, the idea is that if I were to say, okay, you're going on a desert island tonight, and I want you to tell stories with you, what would be those 3 stories? That would be how you could start this exercise and take one of those stories with you to the job.
Something you can do besides besides preparing that for that question is it's also to really answer it. Turn on your camera, record yourself, and see how you've answered this question, because exactly, moving on to the next stage.
These are 2 basic tools. If you are, let me put this here so we can see here. We have a little tripod and a little microphone here. So practice recording yourself. This is like, for many, is a piece of news that is shocking.
Brand new
information is record yourself. No joke. Take your phone and start recording. Practice, practice, practice. Love to hear your own voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's scary in the beginning, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, practice, practice.
And also, don't be, if it's all new, don't be too tough on yourself. You're just starting, you're learning, you're training, and be happy with what you're doing right now. I think this is so important. I hear a lot of people struggling with that. I am someone that just goes with the flow, and I'm like, well, I'll do things and then I'll see what to improve. So for me, it's never really been a struggle. But
see, I'm much more the preparing type. I need to have it perfectly practiced. I need to know exactly what I'm saying. I mean, guys, I have my script here. I mean,
this is mine.
Here we have. So it doesn't mean to say that you. I often say that when I do trainings or run any kind of workshops, there's no need to completely memorize, except in a job interview. Like, you need to. Okay, let me ask you. When did you go to Sweden? The date?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Boom, fail.
Damn it. I know it for work-related stuff, though.
You need to know your facts.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to know when you went to Sweden. You need to know when you left Sweden. And if I could, I'd like to ask you when you saw the Northern Lights.
I guess it was December somewhere.
More or less.
Well, Well, I mean, I think, well, to be honest,
I've lost interest.
No. Yeah, right. To be honest, I don't think people have to be so perfectly. They're not robots, so it's okay if you don't remember dates exactly, but more or less exactly. So the years, the months,
I think the months are not necessary, especially if you're going back into
the past. Yeah, exactly.
But I remember I've been to a workshop where we were practicing communication strategies, and that day we were practicing describing yourself and the events in your life. And there was a guy who could not remember when he went to university.
Wow.
And the teacher was like, whoa. To sell yourself, you need to know your facts. If you're a salesman, you know the price of your product. If you're in a job interview, you need to know your value and your date.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, I've seen so often as a recruiter, and here with the resume, I'm asking for experiences, and people are like, and I mean, like, you put it there. I'm not asking, some weird questions. But yeah, definitely prepare the hell out of your
the basics. Yeah.
Prepare, obviously prepare. Try to know about the company, about the person you're talking to, competitors. Prepare as much as you can. Yeah. And as long as you have prepared and put all your effort, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But there are some basic things that definitely.
Yeah. And there's also different ways that you can display your information online. Like, for example, nowadays LinkedIn is a fantastic tool to bring your profile to life. When we spoke before about giving it color, you can upload videos of yourself, 30 seconds. Speaking coach, I'm looking for consulting agencies to work with for training needs.
Yeah,
that's it. Just so they see how you are. More and more you will see job companies, even the old original type of companies.
Yeah,
they will have initial screening related to video. They might ask you to send a 30-second video of yourself. So going back to basics, you can get anything. You can get, I think the cheapest tripods you can get from Tiger are like €7. Just something that you can get your phone, so you're not in like any different angles or your phone falls off or anything like this. And also what I wanted to say was basics, guys. Eye level. This is quite strange looking at a little hole, but in a job interview, look at the difference when I'm talking to you or when I'm talking to you or I'm looking here. So basics, and you can see that we're here. You don't need to see the whole body, but we have enough light. I don't know how the echo is here today, actually.
Yeah, I think it's good, but you guys let us know.
Let us know. But these are just some basics of like, how can you sell yourself better online is just basics, light, positioning of the camera, and also being prepared. And in a job interview, ta-da, you can have your notes.
Oh, that's the best. Actually, it's in my online course, and I'm like, guys, you can put all your post-it like close to your camera hole on your laptop. Nobody will ever see it. So in many ways, actually being interviewed for a remote company is not as bad as being interviewed by a normal company, because you're in your own setup. You are in your house or maybe a place that you already know. You can have all your notes. You can, it's so much better in so many ways. Yeah. There are some things that are different, like, creating a good set and a good environment.
For example, I don't have this set at home. I did a webinar last week, and I saw the background. I did it at midnight to Latin America, and it was like, wow, okay, this is a little bit dark.
Yeah.
And now it was like, okay, lesson learned. So next time I'll look for another place.
But again, it doesn't have to be perfect, as long as you are not in a party,
Yeah, like, no barking dogs behind. And I see in the comments, there's a couple of people, Antonio and Ryan are mentioning that it's not nice to hear your voice. Guys, good tip. If you have your, this is like your new office, or it is my office at least, start by recording your voice. If you have an iPhone, devices already installed. If you have an Android, there are several news. I think I have smart everything.
Yeah.
Is start recording your voice and then listen to it, and then slowly transition to camera.
And also just do it. you know, if you stay there and think about, oh my God, I'm not so comfortable, blah, 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 we will just spend too much time focusing on how hard it is.
Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, honestly, the first time I uploaded I don't know, a story on Instagram, which I hate anyway still, but I was like, what? Not satisfied, and I was like, well, you know what, I'll do it anyways. You practice, and it's okay.
Think about it as like a draft, edit, improve, edit, improve.
But
edit,
like everything
improve.
in life, so this is also, and come on, it can't be the scariest thing you have ever done. It's just your voice.
But I get it though, because I was really uncomfortable. Like, we're not from a generation, I keep on mentioning this generation, but generation or not, I didn't grow up with a mobile. I would be chatting with my friends through Skype, or it wasn't until that many years ago that I started even doing video conferences. And you know, if you're not used to using Zoom or Hangouts, try with your friends just to get used to that. You know that technology, how it's working, how you see yourself in front of a camera. In the beginning, you're there like, you know, checking out how I look. Before you go on camera.
But anyways, you know, we are not influencers here. We are not. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No,
just has to work.
Basically. Anything else?
No, I think I would like to leave some time to our audience. If you have any question, any doubt that you would like to ask me or ask Anne.
Yeah.
Anne.
This is actually a way of introducing yourself. My name, you could think, is the easiest in the world, Anne. Okay, in Finland it's said Anne. People in Spain call me Anne or Anna. Or this week people have called me twice Anna, one of them being her.
Sorry.
So if your name is complicated, I would introduce myself, hey, my name is Anne with an E. In English environments. In Spanish environments, I would say, hola, me llamo Anne, como Ana en español. So make it easy.
How do you do it with mine? Because my name is Fabrizia, and everybody is Patri. One day, so my name is Fabrizia Zanca, and I still remember this. It was back in Granada. Somebody called me. I was ordering something, Patricia Blanca. So that became my Spanish name when I had the phone. Never, you know.
Some people just don't have, for example, the international background of like, okay, how do you? So make it easy. In a job interview, if you have a peculiar name, you can say like, you know, if your name is Gerard and you're going into the US, you can say, hey, my name is Gerard, but you can call me Jeff. The same way as, for example, from a Chinese background, they have, instead of the Chinese name, they also have an English name. Make it easy for the other person. And also in a conversation, it's like, Fabri, today I asked you, remember, I said, how do I call you? Do you want me to call you Fabri or Fabrizia? You said Fabri. Okay, cool. Easy. Make it easy for the people to address you and talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
which is the most important thing at the beginning of our conversation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, questions. Let's see.
What do we have here?
Ryan. Ryan is going to interview me for his amazing podcast. I can't wait in February. I'm working now to begin finding speakers of speaking opportunity, despite hating my voice. So let's assume we have absorbed all your advice for being a better speaker. Do you have any advice on then finding opportunities?
Okay. I would start here at the beginning. I don't have a straight answer for this. Like, this is, I've got this, you know.
Solution.
Solution, But hey, there's a problem, there's always a solution. And my recommendation would be to firstly create your online presence. So make sure that you have visibility on, depending on what type of speaking opportunities you're looking for, whether your platform is LinkedIn, maybe it might be Instagram. You know better what your platform is, and I would say to start getting visibility there through YouTube. And then, for example, how I started is with things like these, going to networking events and meeting people like Fabri and getting visibility, so that then eventually you will have, hey, people see like, oh, I like what he's doing, I like what she's doing, and they will invite you for gigs. I think you know more about this.
Yeah, but I think you're looking for speakers, right? You're looking for speakers.
For speaking opportunities. Ryan wants to speak. Is that right? No?
Yeah. Ryan, do you want to speak? But if that is the case, yes, exactly. Networking, like what you have done with me, actually.
Out of
Finding your
curiosity,
niche,
yeah, finding your niche for sure, for sure. If you're depending in the industry that you're working in, is find your niche. Out of curiosity, would you, quite a common question that might come up is speaking gigs.
Well, I guess it depends on the visibility.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, we are all professionals, and it's unfair to not be paid because we are really providing a service. So I have never been a big, supporter of doing everything for free. This is free. I mean, there are many things that people can get for free or we can do for free.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's not necessarily the visibility or visibility in exchange of euros.
Yeah,
it doesn't always work like that.
No, exactly. But like what we are doing, for example, we are collaborating together.
Yeah.
And it's also to know each other, to share knowledge, to share our network, and so on.
I see this more like as a sharing knowledge, and I think I'm passionate about sharing knowledge, and if there's something that can help someone, I'm more than happy to share that. And I see we have Aneta has their wrap up, please. 10 tips for the CV and 10 tips for face-to-face interviews.
I mean, you're asking too much on it. In such a short
that could be at least we could be talking about 3 coaching sessions.
Yeah, sorry, but one tip for the CV: customize it. So every time you're applying to a job, make sure that you are customizing that specific job and that specific company, and that's why you're not gonna, apply to any crap you find. You will really devote some time, to find what is important for you, what kind of job it's important for you, and then you will take the time to apply. And she asked for the face-to-face
interview. Yes, face-to-face interviews.
Well, face-to-face interview, I think, be confident. I think actually this is in general something important. It's important to move from a needing position to a strong position. I mean, obviously, when you are interviewed by a company, remote or not, you are in a sort of needing position, and most of the time people just accept, be strong, think about your values. If they're asking you stuff that you don't like, or, if there's something that is not feeling good, say it, It's important.
My tips would be for the interview face-to-face. Firstly, it means you go in with the mentality of 50-50. I'm actually interviewing you as much, your company as much as you're interviewing me.
Exactly.
And I want to know how my skills adapt, or what benefits I can bring to your team.
Yeah.
So it's not just like in the leading position. Secondly, when you go into the job interview, go in with questions.
Yes.
I don't have any questions. No, that's not an option. Going with the question, what is it that your team does? How can my skills help the team improve to reach the objective? Then also in the interview, I mean, basics is looking at the person in the eye, listening. Say that if you don't know the answer to something, it's okay to not know it.
Take your time and just say, I've never got that question, or let me think about it, and take your brief and take some time to think about that.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
It's actually very normal. It's normal to not knowing all the answers, and it's good to, that. Think about it and then provide the answer.
Yeah, I think in the end of the day, what they're looking for, apart from your experience and knowledge of technical side, is like your attitude. What happens if you don't know the answer? It's okay, we're human.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not walking dictionaries. And apart from like the job interview, just also basics is, for example, the way you address the person. Use that person's name. Like if you're in the interview, it's like, hi, Maria, it's really nice to see you.
Yeah.
Like it's music to our ears when we hear people say your name.
Yeah. Oh, that would open, I think, like 3 different sessions probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't want to.
The speaking, right? Is there? I want to speak, but I don't need to. Yeah. So in that case, I think the visibility is through proactiveness online. And I think if to really talk about speaking, and one of the things that I really like emphasize a lot when working with clients is Okay, the confidence. Confidence is a big one, and then you're like, okay, you don't go to the shop and buy confidence.
Yeah,
it's a hard one. You build it. And how can you build confidence? That is through time. And for example, if you're a person that you're not sure how to prepare for a job interview, and it is like, pardon my French, it's like scaring the living shit out of you, get help.
Yeah,
I work on a nearly weekly basis coaching professionals who are coming out of uni, who want to go to a job interview, who want to present a poster in a congress. Yeah. It's like, get help. There's a lot of professions like Fabri also who works with people like you know, wanting to get a remote job, is get help. You don't have to suffer alone. Yeah. Just when someone is there to help you, like, hey, you know, you're speaking like this, just relax. Okay, breathe in. And people like us can come and help you into the preparation process. And then the magic happens after the interview. What did you learn? Yeah. How can you improve? What will you do differently next time?
Exactly. Practice is so important. This is also something I always tell my clients, you know, in order to be ready, you need to practice, and you can practice with your friends, whatever, but the best way is practicing with a company you don't really care so much about. So apply. If it's a job that you think you will get, but the company you don't like it and you don't even like the job so much, apply anyways, just for the sake of training, to see, you know, what recruiters ask you, how does it feel to be being interviewed for so yeah, practicing is always a great strategy, and get help.
Practice for sure.
And then we were mentioning a lot, you were mentioning a lot the online presence. It is extremely important when working online and applying for an online company. So obviously you want to have an online presence, and it doesn't mean to have, you know, all the social media tools perfectly in place. That's not the point.
No.
But you should at least have an updated LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, and a photo. Please do yourself a favor. No sunglasses, no park photos where you're, you know, with the beer. Go and get like a professional photo taken. If not, for example, last month I used my camera, which has a double camera. I was working. He was procrastinating. I said, okay, go over there. I took photos. There you go, upload on LinkedIn.
Again, it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, but it has to be where you can see your face and, you know, transmit something with your eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, so I always tell this story. It was the best resume I've ever seen.
Tell us a story.
It has numbers, because pictures in it, in a small little box. But there was this guy that had like four different situations, like me swimming, me having a beer, me with my boyfriend or girlfriend, I don't know. And I was like, oh man, rejected. Because how can you be so unprofessional? Anyways, online presence. So what you want to do as well is creating an online portfolio. Use Wix, or you can, if you are a developer, maybe you are on GitHub, but have an online presence, because that online presence is really the opportunity to tell your story written in a much better and less formal way. Yeah. So do it.
And remember, just online, you have 3 ways of telling your story. You can tell your story through, let me take my cheat sheet from here. You can tell your story verbally through either an audio, so it could also be a video, but you can also written, so either through a post, blog, any kind of written format, CV, boring, or visually, which means an infographic. Don't forget the power of our beautiful Canva infographics. Use colors, numbers, arrows, shapes. Make it, bring your profile to life. I recently did an infographic about my, like, I went from CV to infographic. I was loving it.
Yeah, right.
I was like, wow, if I were to apply for a job now, I would definitely use an infographic.
Okay. Well, I'm curious to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry for the interruption. All right. We still have 3 minutes.
Anyone has fire away questions?
Yes. Another question, please. We're eager to know what's burning.
Yeah. Build on failure. Yes, remember, there is no really, failure is just an opportunity for growth and learning. So it's not what I messed up. It's like, how can I improve this for the next time?
Yeah.
And that's a hard one to change the mindset.
Yeah.
Like, you know, fuck up Mondays, taking it kind of like a, hey, you know, I messed up, or something didn't go the way I wished. How can I improve this for next time?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They are all learning opportunities, and sometimes it's what we were talking about before. We were both laid off, and starting from that moment, it felt like instead of failure, it was liberation, and you know, burst, like great creativity came out of it. And yeah, so you know, as a human being, you can interpret things in a negative way, in a positive way. Try to give it a good nuance at least.
You go on the bright side of life.
Yeah, really. It's very cliche, but what I find out that, you know, cliches are always so true. All right, so I don't see more questions coming, but you know, if you have more questions, just write them down, even if this live is done, and we'll answer anyways. Or those folks that don't that didn't make it to join our video today,
comments. Yay!
Can you?
Yeah, go ahead. So Ryan is saying, can you quickly talk about the skills it takes to develop confidence? For many, especially young people, it can be difficult as they haven't yet achieved expertise. That's a great question. Yeah, hashtag confidence. Confidence is a big one, like we mentioned. If you're someone who's starting new and you have not got your 10 years or the 5 years of job experience that they're asking for, this is my personal opinion, but there is no, even if you're starting a new job and you're, you know, with your first client, there's no need to say that you're new, because the mentality is that you're already putting yourself down before the conversation has even started. So ways of, for example, boosting your confidence is that it depends firstly where you start, what's the starting point. In coaching, we call it the current state. So in the GPS, it would be like the starting point. Casa, the starting point. And then you talk about the destination. If we go back, for example, I can talk about myself. I can tell my story just briefly, like how when I was fired, I felt my self-esteem and confidence was like, I felt I wasn't worthy. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had never even heard the word values. I was completely lost, and I remember I went to networking. I just got fired. I don't know what to do with my life. Where this woman said to me, she's like, Anne, you're in a transition phase.
And you're like, I am. Yeah, that's a good way to describe my situation.
It's actually, it's the story that you tell yourself. Is actually above all the most important. But then going back to Ryan's question is, so for example, for me, the first step, I always talk about baby steps. Confidence is built through time and continuous baby steps of stepping outside of the comfort zone. So for example, if for you, you're terrified about speaking in front of a camera in a job interview, for you, the first baby step is to record your voice for 5 seconds. Introduce yourself in 4 lines. Get more comfortable.
Somebody.
And then maybe show it to someone. Then the next day, maybe you feel confident and you might want to connect with a friend on, Hangouts. And whatever it is for you to do baby steps. And I think this is where the coaching is important, because the coach shines light for those steps and guides you when you fall.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that, people tend to focus on that specific problem and it becomes much bigger than it is, but also try to focus on all the things you have accomplished in your life. I mean, we are all adults here. We have gone through life. I think there are so many things we did well and we accomplished. So if you did have the resources to do that specific thing, it means that you also have the resources to do this other thing. It's scary. You just need, as she says, take step-by-step actions, divide this bigger problem into small.
Action is the key word, action, from intention to action, really.
Exactly. Yeah. And divide, and the problem may seem much bigger than it is, so just little problems and face them, you know.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to do it, but I always like to tell, you know, think about what you have done before and all the resources that you had at that point that will help you now.
Yeah, and I think if you were to really to be specific about the how to build confidence or to develop is once you've done that little task, you have achieved it, you feel good, you feel empowered, which means, oh, okay, I achieved this. Okay, next little hurdle.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to record myself explaining my last job experience or work experience. So that's the baby step. I record it, and it's that tick when you do on your to-do list. You're like, oh, this is so scary.
Yeah, but also what I feel is that, you know, people are the worst judgers of themselves because you may be wondering or worrying about something not present to anybody else out there but you. So you're focusing yourself and doesn't exist for the rest of the world, you know.
Yeah.
So also try to get out of your perspective, you know, see what other people are actually, you know.
Yeah, and don't compare yourself with others.
Oh yeah.
Your story is your story, and no one else will have your story, and no one else will tell you like your story or tell your story like you. So in the end, I would say be brave to tell your story.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good ending line.
Yeah, be brave to tell your story because it's unique. No one else will tell your story the way you will. Use some numbers, and use adjectives and describe who you are, not what you do necessarily.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yay!
I think we could continue talking forever, right? I'm really enjoying it. But guys, let us know, you know, if you have any feedback, if you enjoyed this session, maybe we can organize another one.
Yeah, if there's anything else you feel that we could organize for our next webinar, it would be really nice to hear from you. If there's anything more specific, what you found most useful, we're all open. Ryan is there saying great advice and helpful conversation, ladies. Thank you, Ryan, for participating and giving us here some comments.
Yeah, really. And find us, so your email and your webpage.
Yes, so my project is called version 2, as in 2 the number, version 2 of me.com. You will find me also on LinkedIn as Anne Pirkkanen. So my name is Anne, and in English it's Anne with an E, Pirkkanen, Pirkkanen. I would say like there in the comments.
Yeah, we'll write it in the comments later, yes.
And also, yeah, I work on LinkedIn, so there you will find me active and come and say hi. Feel free to connect. It's always nice to meet fellow colleagues and professionals online, so don't be scared to come and say hi. And if you have any questions, we're here to help you answer any doubts.
Yes. Definitely. And as for me, well, you can find me on Facebook. The group is Your Dream Remote Job Now. Same for my webpage, yourdreamremotejobnow.com. And on LinkedIn, you can find me as Fabrizia Zanca, which is good for you to not have to pronounce. Just type it down.
Patricia Blanca.
That should be my alter ego.
Yeah,
Patricia Blanca.
I'm definitely Anna.
Right? And yeah, okay. So I hope it was all very useful for you guys. Try it out.
Yeah, who am I?
Who am I? And let us know. Maybe you can even send us your videos.
Yeah, that would be really exciting to hear. See your 20 to 30 second videos of who you are.
Yeah.
Hey, in the Facebook group.
Oh, that would be
let's get it going.
Yeah, definitely.
We're more than happy to give feedback and comments on the videos of how to boost your storytelling and confidence.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what the community is for.
Exactly. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Fabri,
for helping me.
Time to go for beers now.
Time to go for beers. Exactly. All right. Thank you guys for being here with us. Enjoy your evening or day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.